Everybody wants to talk about what they're grinding for. Everybody wants to announce their moves before they even take them. They want the world to know they're hustling, they're locked in, they're about to blow up. But let me tell you something real. The people who talk the most about the grind are usually the ones doing the least. Talking about the work does not count as doing the work. Announcing the plan is not the same as executing the plan. Posting about discipline is not the same as having discipline. You gotta stop announcing your grind and start proving your grind with action. The real ones don't need attention to stay focused. They don't need recognition to get started. They don't need applause to stay committed. They move in silence because they understand that results speak louder than any speech, any post, any brag. When you're really grinding, you don't even have the energy to make an announcement. Every ounce of focus is locked into the work. The people who are truly hungry don't have time to tell you they're hungry. They're too busy eating. The moment you spend telling people what you're about to do, you could have taken one more step toward actually doing it. The more you talk, the less you move, and don't take this lightly. Sometimes you talk so much that you trick yourself into thinking you've already made progress. You get addicted to the idea of success instead of addicted to the repetition required to become successful. You feel satisfied just by saying it out loud, but your life doesn't change until your habits change. The dream doesn't come alive until the work becomes real. You ever notice how people love to announce a new goal before they've executed one step of it? They're quick to say, I'm starting Monday. I'm dropping something big soon. I'm coming for everything I deserve. But then Monday shows up and their effort doesn't. Soon turns into never. Everything they deserve turns into excuses. Announcement culture kills progress because it gives people the illusion of action. But illusion doesn't build anything. Illusion doesn't create discipline. Illusion doesn't produce results. Only work does. You gotta be honest with yourself. Are you grinding or are you talking about grinding? Are you actually putting in the hours, or are you posting quotes about hours you never worked? Are you becoming the person you claim to be? Or are you just saying the right thing so people think you're on your way? Real success doesn't care about your announcements. It cares about your consistency. It cares about your resilience. It cares about the days you showed up tired, frustrated, discouraged, but still disciplined. There's power in silence, not because silence is mysterious, but because silence keeps you accountable to yourself. When you stop announcing your goals publicly, the only person you can lie to is you. When you stop telling people what you're going to do, you take away the safety net of excuses. When you stop using your voice to convince others, you start using your effort to convince yourself. Silence forces you to face your own work ethic. Silence forces you to see what you truly are without the performance. Silence forces you to grind, and hear me, you don't need validation for your journey. You don't need confirmation for your dream. You don't need applause for your process. Some of you want approval so bad that you slow down every time you don't get it. You want someone to say, I'm proud of you, keep going, you're doing great, just so you can feel okay. But greatness requires you to clap for yourself when nobody else is paying attention. Greatness requires you to keep pushing even when nobody is cheering. Greatness requires you to show up even when nobody is watching. That's how you build something real. The grind is sacred. The grind is personal. The grind is messy and unglamorous and uncomfortable. That's why you shouldn't announce it, because people don't understand what they can't see. They'll judge your process. They'll question your decisions. They'll doubt your pace. They'll criticize your strategy. And if you let that noise get into your spirit, it will slow you down. Silence protects your momentum. Silence protects your direction. Silence protects your belief. And when the work is finished, when the results show up, those same people who doubted you won't need an explanation. Your success will do the talking. Your transformation will do the talking. Your results will speak louder than any announcement you could ever give. Because people believe what they can see, not what they hear. They might ignore your words, but they will never ignore your progress. You don't have to announce the grind. Just grind until the grind announces you. You said, your discipline behind closed doors determines your success in public. People love to talk about success like it's something you can perform on demand, like it's something that appears the moment the camera turns on. But success doesn't show up on stage unless discipline showed up off stage. What you do privately is what the world eventually sees publicly. The problem is too many of us want public rewards without private work. We want people to admire us for habits we don't actually have, for discipline we don't actually practice, for consistency we don't actually commit to. But life isn't fooled, results aren't fooled. Discipline exposes the truth. When nobody's watching you, that's the real you. When the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and there's nobody texting you, pushing you, motivating you, that's the real you. When you come home tired and still have work left to do, and there's nobody patting you on the back, that's the real you. When your friends are going out and you choose to stay in and grind, that's the real you. Discipline is revealed in the moments no one celebrates. It's revealed in the choices you make when nobody will ever know the difference except your future self. You can fake motivation in public, you can fake confidence in public, but you cannot fake discipline. Discipline leaves fingerprints. Discipline leaves evidence. Discipline leaves results. And the truth is, people aren't successful because they're lucky. They're successful because they're disciplined. They've mastered themselves in private, so they can master their craft in public. They've trained their mind to obey even when their body wants to quit. They've trained their habits to reflect their goals, not their feelings. And that's the part most people skip because discipline isn't glamorous, discipline isn't fun, discipline isn't exciting. Discipline is repetitive, it's uncomfortable, it's lonely, it's boring. It's the same things done over and over and over again until you become undeniable. Success shows up to people who stay faithful to routines nobody sees. You look at someone shining and you think, wow, they must be gifted. You don't see the nights they stayed up studying when everyone else was sleeping. You don't see the workouts they pushed through when they were exhausted. You don't see the hours they spent practicing the same thing until they perfected it. You don't see the sacrifices they made quietly, the temptations they resisted silently, the discipline they maintained consistently. People want the spotlight, but they don't want the shadows. They want the applause, but they don't want the accountability. They want the performance, but not the preparation. And listen to me, preparation is everything. Preparation is the real game. If you're prepared, you don't panic. If you're prepared, you don't freeze. If you're prepared, you don't fold under pressure. Discipline behind closed doors builds confidence in public. When you've put in the work privately, you don't walk into a room hoping you're ready. You walk in knowing you are. That confidence doesn't come from ego, it comes from evidence, the evidence of discipline, the evidence of sacrifice, the evidence of consistency. When you've done the work in silence, you don't have to hype yourself up. You've already proven it to yourself. Most people want to skip the silent work. They want quick results, instant gratification, fast success. They want to go viral more than they want to go consistent. But the truth is, fast success fades. Fast success is fragile. Slow success, quiet success, disciplined success, that's the kind that lasts. Because discipline builds you from the inside out. It shapes your habits, your mindset, your character. If success comes before discipline, You won't be able to hold it. You'll crumble under the weight of what you weren't prepared to carry. Discipline isn't just what gets you results. It's what protects you once you get them. People think discipline is restrictive. They think discipline is punishment, but discipline is freedom. Discipline gives you control over your life. It gives you control over your emotions, your time, your future. When you're disciplined, you're not controlled by your moods. You're not controlled by your excuses. You're not controlled by your environment. You become unstoppable because you're not relying on how you feel to determine what you do. You rely on commitment, and commitment is stronger than motivation. Motivation fades, commitment endures. I need you to stop cheating yourself in private and expecting miracles in public. I need you to stop doing just enough behind the scenes and expecting excellence on the stage. You can't perform at a level you didn't practice. You can't harvest what you didn't plant. You can't cash out from a bank account you didn't deposit into. Discipline is your deposit. Every early morning is a deposit. Every late night is a deposit. Every repetition is a deposit. Every sacrifice is a deposit. And one day, when it's time to cash out, everybody will think you came up overnight, but you'll know the truth. It wasn't overnight. It was overtime. It was consistency. It was discipline. The world sees your highlights, but discipline sees your whole story. Discipline knows how many times you got back up. Discipline knows how many times you pushed when you didn't want to. Discipline knows every quiet victory you won before the big one. And that's why discipline pays off, because it builds wins you don't even realize are stacking up. One day you wake up and you're stronger. One day you wake up and you're faster. One day you wake up and you're better. Not because of some big moment, but because of the small disciplined choices you made when nobody was looking. Your discipline behind closed doors determines your success in public. Let your private grind create your public greatness. People don't realize how dangerous it is to expose your dreams too early. They don't understand that silence isn't weakness, silence is protection. When you're building something, when you're growing, when you're grinding towards something big, you don't need everybody's voice in your ear. You don't need everybody's opinions. You don't need everybody's doubts, fears, or negative energy creeping into what you're trying to create. Silence keeps your vision pure. Silence keeps your focus sharp. Silence keeps you locked in. The problem is you think you owe people explanations. You think you have to justify why you're changing, why you're grinding, why you're separating, why you're elevating. You don't owe anybody anything. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is announce your plans too early. The moment you tell people you're about to do something great, they start projecting their fears onto you. Suddenly, your dream becomes smaller. Not because you stopped believing in it, but because you let the wrong people speak into it. Some of y'all keep letting the wrong voices shape your future. You tell your goals to people who gave up on their own goals years ago. You tell your vision to people who never learned how to dream. You tell your plans to people who can't see past their own limitations. And without knowing it, their doubt becomes your doubt. Their insecurity becomes your insecurity. Their fear becomes your fear. That's why you feel stuck. That's why you feel confused. That's why your fire doesn't burn like it used to. You let too many voices in. Silence protects you from unnecessary battles. When people can't see what you're doing, they can't attack it. When people don't know your next move, they can't interfere with it. When people don't understand your process, they can't judge it. That silence isn't hiding, it's strategy. It's you saying, I don't need approval, I don't need permission, I don't need validation, I need focus. And let me tell you something real, focus is fragile, it doesn't take much to break it. One discouraging comment. One sarcastic laugh, one person telling you it's impossible, one person telling you be realistic, one person telling you don't get your hopes up. You might think those words don't matter, but they do. They plant seeds, and if you're not careful, they grow into doubt. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. That's why silence matters. Silence keeps you from having to explain yourself to small thinkers. Silence keeps you from wasting emotional energy on people who don't even want you to win. Silence gives you space to evolve without being judged in the middle of your transformation. You ever see a butterfly before it becomes a butterfly? No, because transformation happens in the dark, in the quiet, away from noise, away from judgment, away from interference. That's how elevation works. Sometimes silence is the only thing that keeps you from quitting. When you're working quietly, you don't hear the noise. When you're building quietly, you don't hear the critics. When you're grinding quietly, you don't hear the opinions. All you hear is your own voice pushing you forward. All you hear is your own belief. All you hear is the internal fire that nobody else understands. Silence strengthens your internal voice. It forces you to rely on your own conviction instead of external encouragement. Some of you need to relearn how to believe in yourself without an audience. You want people to cheer for progress they can't even see yet. You want people to celebrate results that haven't shown up yet. You want people to validate a journey they're not even walking with you. That's not how greatness works. Greatness starts with you cheering for you when nobody else even knows what you're doing. When you're alone with your goals, when you're alone with your discipline, when you're alone with your struggles, when you're alone with the work, that silence builds something stronger than applause. It builds character. It builds resilience. It builds integrity. It builds hunger. You gotta understand that silence isn't a lack of action. It's a lack of distraction. It's you saying, I'm locked in, I'm focused, I'm committed. And when you're really committed, you don't have time to broadcast every step. You don't have time to update people on every detail. You don't have time to prove yourself to people. You're too busy improving yourself. People always want to see what you're doing, but they don't want to see what you went through. They want to celebrate the success without witnessing the suffering. They want to clap for the results without understanding the sacrifices. That's why silence is a blessing. It hides the parts of your journey that don't need an audience. The tears, the doubt, the frustration, the failures, the nights you wanted to quit, the mornings you dragged yourself out of bed when everything inside you said stop. They don't need to see that. That's between you and the grind, and listen to me carefully. The moment you protect your vision with silence, your results become inevitable. Not because silence is magic, but because silence creates focus, and focus creates progress. And when progress becomes consistent, results become unstoppable. And when those results finally show up, they won't need an introduction. They won't need your explanation. They won't need your voice. They'll speak for you. Let your silence guard the vision so your results can tell the story. You said, people act like the grind is supposed to feel comfortable. They think chasing greatness means you get support, applause, and people walking with you every step of the way. But the truth is the grind is lonely. Not lonely because you're weak, not lonely because you're different. In fact, it's lonely because you're different. Because you're willing to do what others won't. Because you're choosing a path most people aren't built for. And the higher you climb, the fewer people you'll find standing next to you. That's not a sign you're doing something wrong. That's proof you're doing something right. Everybody loves the idea of success until they find out it comes with solitude. When you start elevating, you start losing people. Not because they hate you, but because they're comfortable where they are and you're not. You're hungry. You're willing to change. You're willing to sacrifice, and that makes people uncomfortable. They don't want to match your intensity. They want you to slow down so they can feel better about staying the same. But you cannot dim your light to make others comfortable. You cannot shrink your dreams to keep company. You cannot sabotage your future just to keep the present familiar. There are seasons in your life where you will walk alone. Seasons where it's just you, your vision, and your grind. No one checking in, no one asking how it's going, no one reminding you of your goals. You'll wake up some mornings and feel like the whole world forgot about you. And that's when you'll be tested. That's when the grind becomes real, because anyone can work when people are watching. Anyone can be motivated when they're being cheered on. But it's what you do in the lonely hours, the quiet moments, the empty rooms. That's what separates greatness from average. When you're grinding at 4 a.m., nobody sees it. When you stay in on a Saturday night to work on your craft, nobody posts about it. When you sacrifice comfort, distractions, fun, and convenience, nobody applauds you, but the grind doesn't need applause. The grind needs commitment. You don't grow in crowds, you grow in isolation. That's where your discipline matures. That's where your mindset sharpens. That's where your identity forms. That's where you build the version of you that the world will later celebrate. You gotta get comfortable being misunderstood. People will question you, they will doubt you, they will think you're acting different. That's because you are different now. You're elevating, you're evolving. You're not the same person you used to be, and you shouldn't be. Every level of your life requires a new version of you, and that new version can't emerge without separation. You can't grow while clinging to the things and people who keep you small. You can't step into greatness while holding hands with mediocrity. Sometimes silence isn't punishment, it's preparation. Sometimes God hides you on purpose. He places you in seasons where you feel unseen so you can build strength without distraction. He removes certain people not to hurt you, but to protect your destiny. He pulls you away from noise so you can hear your purpose more clearly. If the season feels lonely, it's because something inside you is transforming, and transformation is rarely comfortable. It's rarely pretty, it's rarely easy, but it's always worth it. You're going to outgrow people. You're going to outgrow conversations. You're going to outgrow environments. And every time you level up, you'll shed a piece of your old life. That's not abandonment, that's growth. Flowers grow in dirt, but they don't stay in the ground when they bloom. They rise. They stand alone. They break through the soil and reach towards something bigger. That's you. You're breaking through. You're rising, and rising means leaving the underground behind. You have to stop expecting your journey to look like everyone else's. Your grind is yours. Your path is yours. Your silence is yours. And your loneliness, it's temporary. The isolation you feel right now is building the strength you'll need later. The people who don't understand you now will respect you later. The friends who couldn't support you now will wish they had later, but none of that matters today. What matters today is that you don't quit just because it feels lonely. You don't turn around just because you don't have company. You don't slow down just because others stop. Listen to me. If greatness was a group project, everybody would have it, but greatness is earned alone. In the quiet, in the unseen hours, in the moments when nobody is coming to save you, nobody is coming to push you, nobody is coming to coach you. You become who you're meant to be when you stop needing company to validate your journey, when you stop needing witnesses to validate your work, when you stop needing applause to validate your purpose. So if you feel lonely, good. That means you're doing something uncommon. If you feel isolated, good. That means you're separating from the average. If you feel misunderstood, good. That means you're thinking at a level most people haven't reached yet. Keep going, keep grinding, keep building. Because the silence you're in now is creating the noise your results will make later. The grind is lonely because greatness requires separation. You said